Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Magician with a Microphone podcast. I am your host, Chris Langle of Chris Langle Magic. Today is August 12th, 2021, which means it is exactly 1 month from the day of my magic show at the Bijou Theater in Bridgeport, Connecticut, 275 Fairfield Avenue in Bridgeport. Tickets are on sale, www.bijou, B-I-J-O-U, theater, theatrect.com. It's coming up really soon, so get your tickets and get your asses in the seats. Today, I want to talk about what goes into a magic show, what goes into show prep, what goes into rehearsals, because I was thinking about it the other day. Like, I had a shit show. Wow, my voice cracked. That's how bad it was. It was I'm going to see if I can do it again. A shit show of a rehearsal the other day. Now, mind you, the other rehearsals that I have been doing have gone okay. With the minor tweaks and, missing things that have to do with certain tricks. And, the fact that, I don't really have an audience for all of the tricks that I have to practice. But, I have to work around it and everything ends up working out in the long run. But, the other night, when you're doing a theater show, especially a theater, you need to make sure that you have a few things, and electricity and sound is one of them. You see, I have music that goes along with my show. I've got lighting effects that go along with the show. I've got cues. I've got special positioning of certain things on the stage. And, depending on what trick I'm doing, everything has to work together or else it's going to suck. There's some tricks that I do without music. There's some tricks that I do where I don't talk and it's literally just music. But there are certain tricks where I need the music and the lighting and the patter to work together. And if you don't have that, and if it doesn't synchronize the right way, your trick will look like shit. And that is basically what happened the other night. Now, I have said before, and I'll say again, and it has not changed my opinion about it, the Bijou was the best theater I've ever worked with. I've basically set a goal. I want to take it over when Gary leaves. And I've already made this clear to him. I kind of introduced the idea, and I'm going to keep pushing for it. But I would eventually like to be the person who runs the Bijou when the time comes for Gary to, hang up the boots and say, hey, I'm going to get out of the theater industry. Because I know for a fact if he leaves, that theater's going under, and I'll be damned if that happens. So I'm literally doing the research and willing to figure out what I have to do. On the contrary, I also know that not everything with with such a great place can be perfect 100% of the time. I get to the theater the other day, yesterday, actually. It was yesterday. Today's Thursday. Yesterday was Wednesday. I usually try to do my rehearsals either Tuesdays or Wednesdays. I get to the theater yesterday. Gary opens up the theater, turns on the lights. We already have a problem. The lights are not staying on. It's like they're on some sort of timer to where they turn off after a certain amount of seconds. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why this is going on. Now, naturally, we try not to use the speakers in the theater. So I went and got my guitar amp, which has a plug-in, which turns out my daughter must have jammed something in because I tried plugging something into it, and it didn't go in all the way. And I know my daughter used to play with that amp a lot and, try to stick things in the auxiliary cable holes, and I would catch her and I would pull her away, but I guess at one point she stuck something in the aux cable, like the aux port, and jammed something. So now that's useless. But then I go to turn on my amp and plug my guitar in because I'm actually doing a musical piece during my show, and there's no sound coming out. And I'm blasting this fucking thing, and I'm turning the knobs. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So finally, I was pissed off as it was because it took 20 minutes to get my floating carpet put together. I'm closing my show with a floating carpet routine, and there's a fly You're going to be hearing tapping for a little bit, something like that, because I'm trying to kill a fly, and it's bugging the hell out of me. And it's been here, it's not going away. But it took me 20 minutes to get my floating carpet put together. And I could not figure out for the life of me why it was not going together, and I almost said fuck it and took it out of the show, but I didn't, because I didn't want to think too illogically and irrationally. So I finally got that put together, and then I realized there was no electricity on the stage, so we couldn't plug in the black lights. That's when I realized that the lights weren't staying on, so we couldn't do all of the tricks that had to do with lighting cues. So I was pissed. I threw my hat maybe once or twice. I broke my tripod, because let me tell you something, and I mean, it sounds like I'm just throwing a tantrum. I am a perfectionist, and when you are a performer for a public audience, knowing that what you are going to show them is going to give you a reputation, especially for the people who have never seen you before, you tend to get a little aggravated when shit doesn't go according to plan. All right? I'm one of those guys where I want my lighting, I want my sound, and I want my patter and everything to flow according to how it's supposed to flow, especially when I've practiced it enough to where it should work. And I know people are going to say, well, what about technical difficulties? Yes, technical difficulties do happen. But when you've got everything preset and ready to go, I feel like shit should not happen. And that's basically what was going on, especially with my amp. I kicked the fuck out of my amp. My amp is sitting outside of my garage right now. I'm just going to throw it out because it doesn't work. And I'm going to buy a new one from Guitar Center because I found a really, really nice, I think it's a Ninja amp. Really, really nice looking amp. Really loud, has a lot of effects, built-in effects. And it sounds fucking gorgeous. So, ooh. This beef jerky is really good. Holy shit. Sweet Baby Ray's. I got it at a convenience store. All right, I'm not too mad about that. It's pretty good. So anyway, so we couldn't practice like 90% of the things that I wanted to practice, which left me with some of the stuff that I could practice but didn't have everything for. Turns out that the day was a complete fucking flop. So, I'm going back next week. Hopefully, in the beginning of the day, so that way I could just turn everything on, get everything set, and go from there. So, yeah. Hopefully it works out. Either way, come hell or high water, it's going to work the night of the show. But, I'm talking to you about all these technical difficulties and stuff. Let me explain to you what exactly goes into a magic show, okay? Let me finish the beef jerky that's in my mouth. It's really good. Sweet teriyaki. This shit's better than Jack's. I like this. I'm not even being sponsored by this. Like, they're not telling me to say any of this. I literally just picked this up at a convenience store because it's the only beef jerky I can find. And can we just say really quickly, I understand people are pissed off about gas prices, but beef jerky has been $9.99 a fucking bag since like 1996. Can we please lower the price of beef jerky? It is not hard to make, all right? There is no reason why beef jerky still has to be stupidly expensive. When I could buy a can of Monster from Target for $1.63 and beef jerky for $10.63, something's wrong here. Especially because they give you mostly air in that little fucking, like, salt packet that keeps it moist. Moist. Anyway, let's talk about what goes into a magic show. So, it is no secret at all that there are things that go into a magic trick. There are props, there are gimmicks, there are special things you need to set up. There are certain things that have to be placed in certain places, which, by the way, we set up all before the show starts. You'll never see a magician set a magic trick up on the stage. It's one of the top 3 rules that we are not allowed to break. Well, we could break it. It doesn't really matter if we break it or not because, I mean, let's face it, rules are meant to be broken. But we consider these like, sacred rules. Like, you don't... Like Halloween, you say trick or treat. Or give me your candy, motherfucker. That's what I say to my neighbors, at least. But for Halloween, you say trick or treat. For, if you want to give something, like if you want to give something to somebody for Christmas, you wrap it up. Unwritten rules. Well, some unwritten rules for magic, there's 3 main ones. It's 1, you never do a trick twice. 2, you never set the trick up in front of the audience. And 3, you never give away the secret of the trick. Obviously, we are guilty from time to time for revealing some tricks, thanks Penn and Teller. But the majority of the time, for the most part, you're not going to see us set a trick up. And you're not really going to see us repeat the same trick during the show. It'll give away the secret way too easily. Because once you see it enough times, you're going to eventually figure it out. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into the setup of a trick, especially a bigger prop, a bigger illusion. If you're going to saw somebody in half, if you're going to make somebody levitate, there's things that go into that. It's not just you're going to snap your fingers and they float. Even though that is ironically what we make it look like we do on stage. There's certain pulleys and hinges and, doors that we have to set up. And, in some cases, there's certain boxes that we have to set up and make sure that things are placed in the proper position so that way it looks good when when the trick finally happens. Things in your pockets need to be set a certain way so that way you can remember where they are. Because even though I do keep a set list in front of me, there are some times when I'll forget. And I'll do that whole, phone wallet keys dance. And I'll be like, oh, shit, do I have everything? And it turns out, yeah, I do because everything's set in my pocket. There have been times when I forgot to set tricks. And I've had to, think on the spot, which has worked, Fucking fly again. Anyway, which has worked. And I've had to do things, on the fly. And that is partially why being a manager in the professional wrestling game helped me so much, because I'm able to think on my feet. I'm able to come up. I can come up with patter for anything, on the spot. Right now, if I wanted to, I can come up with patter. But, some things are made for patter, some things aren't. I do a magic trick that actually requires a lot of setup and a lot of preparation during my show that requires no talking. So, it's actually one of my personal favorite routines in the entire show. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, because I actually have to order what I have to order within the next, week or so. And I don't really have the online funds for it, because I don't have bank accounts anymore. So, I have to figure out how the hell I'm getting that. But, with me saying that, there are a lot of things that require preparation. And when the trick's not prepared, it won't work. So that's one main thing. I usually have a checklist before the show. All right, this trick, what do I need for this trick? Index cards. Okay, I need a piece of cardboard for this trick. For this trick, I need a deck of cards. I need an envelope. I need to make sure I have a marker in my pocket. For this trick over here on the stage, I need to make sure that the position of the trick is correct, so that way when the spotlight hits it, it's dead center and the lighting looks great and it doesn't expose anything. And that's all things that I have to run through, and I have a checklist in my head and actually on my phone and on paper and stuff, because you got to make sure that it's all there. Then you have to make sure, that all the tricks are set in order, because believe it or not, we're not just pulling random things out of our suitcase and doing them. I've had to do that before, but it doesn't necessarily work like that all the time. So we have a certain set of tricks that have to go in a certain order, because sometimes there is a trick that might work its way into another trick, or I start with a routine and then I go off on a tangent and then I go back to that routine, which leads into another routine, and I have to make sure I've got all the stuff for it. Or for the example and the trick that I do without speaking, one thing leads to another and I make something vanish, and then I need another thing to help me make the thing that I made disappear, reappear, and then And then there's a gimmick, and then I make that go away, and then, we go into something else, and then I get water, and, so it's one thing that leads to another. It's a lot of organization, believe it or not. It's a lot of organization. It's a lot of thought that goes into it. So, so the very first thing we have to do is, one, to make sure we've got everything, and two, to make sure everything is in the right order and ready to go. Then we have to make sure that the music is on cue, because if you miss a cue, if you miss like a certain part of a song, the trick's going to fuck up. It won't look good. It won't sound good. The cue won't make sense. There's been a couple of times when I've missed cues and the trick has gone in the shitter. There have been times when I've done the wrong move during a trick to the right cue and it didn't look right. So you have to make sure that looks good. You have to make sure that the positioning of yourself on the stage as opposed to where you need to be when this part of the song happens. You gotta make sure, because it would be like if you had multiple microphones throughout a stage and you're playing guitar. All right, so think of it like James Hetfield with Metallica. So at a Metallica show, if you ever see the Metallica stage, they have like 4 or 5 microphones set up that are all on. And James Hetfield will walk around playing his guitar and literally go up to any microphone and start singing. Well, if he's not in the right position to go and start singing, he's going to be late with his cue, and then he's going to miss the part of the verse where he's got to sing. Granted, the audience would sing with him, but I don't have the audience, the fan base, or the memorable show enough to have people talk for me when I need them to. Does that make any sense? So you got to make sure that your cues are on. You got to make sure that the lighting works. You got to make sure that the right lighting is set, because that sets the mood. I cannot tell you how incredibly important it is to set the mood for a trick. I can make a kid levitate on the stage, and if there's no proper music or sound or lighting, or like if the atmosphere is wrong, it's going to look like there's just a kid floating. Nothing special. But you get the table out, and then you bring the kid up, and then all the lights go blue, right? And then here comes your fog. Your slowly starts to creep in from the back, slowly starts to consume the stage. And you can't really see the base of the table because it's consumed in this fog, right? And then the kid sits down on this table, and you're developing this aura of like, ooh, what is going to happen? And then the lights start to go a little bit dimmer, right? And then you do the trick, and the kid is floating there, and the smoke starts to billow up around the kid, and it literally looks like there's nothing below. And you pass like a hula hoop around, or you pass like something above the kid and below the kid to make sure that it looks like they're really floating. And then the kid goes back, like the table gets fixed and the kid goes back to normal, and then the lights come up, and it's like, wow, that was really dramatic for like a split second. That was really cool. Now, if I were to describe that to you, but there's no blue lighting or smoke or like the right music or anything like that, you would think, oh, okay, I've seen this at a birthday party. Nothing special. But granted, there are people who do the same type of things at birthday parties with no music or mood lighting or anything. But in my opinion, it looks cooler with the music and mood lighting. So imagine seeing that on a stage. So that's really important. Setting the mood, setting the scenery, making sure the music is on cue, making sure that everything is in order, because then you've got yourself a pretty damn good show that people are going to enjoy. The thing, and now, this is something, and I'm going to say this, and other magicians, if magicians listen to this, if anybody gets this far, because let's face it, I've said it in the past, nobody's listening right now. Nobody makes it to this point. Today's key word is swordfish. And remember the keyword thing from the podcast from the week before. You mention the keyword and you get mentioned in the next podcast. You got to inbox me the keyword, and I'll mention you in the next podcast. So, what the hell was I saying? Wow, I just drew a blank. I just got thrown off. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be considered like a cardinal sin right now when I say this, but a lot of people, especially like in stage shows and stuff, it's like it's frowned upon to not follow a story. I don't believe that every show has to have a story. I don't believe every trick has to have a story. I don't believe everybody has to have a gimmick. Okay. And this is coming from somebody who used to be in the professional wrestling game. In professional wrestling, you need to tell a story at all times, because if you don't tell a story, there's no point in you being there. Especially if you're the guy who does the talking, you have to really put over the story that the people need to follow in order to understand the character, you know? But to me, especially considering I've seen so many magicians, I've seen so many different types of magic shows, not all of them follow stories. Penn and Teller are really guilty of that. They're literally, their gimmick is, we're going to go up here and show you tricks. That's it. We're going to give some of them away. They don't have any gimmicks. They don't have any, there's no flashy things. They're literally two guys in tuxedos that go up there and do magic. I love that concept because literally it lets the magic speak for itself. If you let the magic speak for itself, if you're not flashy, if you're not taking the attention away from the trick, it's going to look better. That is why David Blaine was so monotonistic and wore black clothing for the first 10 years of his career. Because he would do a trick, sounding like this. Hey, pick a card. Yeah, watch it goes in. Watch. Look, watch. See how it jumps up. Watch. And then people would be mesmerized because the trick looks so cool because he's barely talking. That's one thing that Criss Angel had a flaw with, because Criss Angel was the absolute opposite. He would come out in the most decorated clothing, all of the handcuffs around his neck with the chains and the jewelry and flashy bandanas, looking like a rock star. He would, do that gesture. The thing that I laugh at now is the fact that I used to do this when I was in high school. I would pretend to do that gesture that Criss Angel does all the time, where he's like, where he's breathing heavy and trying to, summon his magic ability. Dude, no, it's not making it look cool. It's making you look like a tool, right? And I'm not calling Criss Angel a tool. He's one of my heroes. But, it's over dramatic and it's over, it's over pushing the effect that could possibly not have such a big effect because you're over dramatizing it. He used to do that when he would do a card trick, all right? Like when he would fix a deck of cards. Like if he was to do Triumph, which is the trick where you take all the cards and you mix them up and then you show that they're all mixed up and then the selected card goes back into the deck and then you snap your fingers and they're all fixed except for that selected card. He would put so much added drama into that. Just watch, think of your card. Think of your card, and it's going to fix itself. I'm trying to do his lisp. With the New York accent with the lisp, it's not working. It's going to fix itself in the deck. Watch this. Ready? Focus on the deck. And it fixes itself. And they'd spread all the cards out. They're all fixed. Now, as opposed to that, where David Blaine would be like, watch, put your card back. I'm going to snap my fingers. The deck's going to go from mixed up to fixed. Ready? Watch. Boom. And it works. And you see, if I was watching that in person, I would honestly think that David Blaine would be a little bit more dramatic than Criss Angel because, all David Blaine's got to do is just, and it works. Like, oh shit, dude, he snapped his fingers, it's already done? What the hell? Criss Angel's sitting there going, focus all your energy on the card, focus all your energy on the cards. And you're like, all right, all this time and a gimmick could have taken place, then there's smoke, then the deck's got to move a little. Like, no, David Blaine just goes, and it's done. To me, that's a lot more dramatic. But I can understand Criss Angel because he's trying to push a story. He's a supernatural being. He's got, using the power of the mind, body, and spirit combined, you can do anything, and you can use all of your mind power. That's his gimmick, you know what I mean? David Blaine's is, I'm just going to do a card trick for you. Then I'm going to put a nail through my hand, and I'm going to spit up frogs. That's his gimmick. That's it. What's the storyline behind his show, if you think about it? I'm just going to do real magic and watch people freak out. David Blaine's gimmick is not the magic. It's the people's reaction. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Excuse me. David Blaine's gimmick is the reactions from the other people. That's why I consider his special to be the greatest of all time, because he took the attention away from the magic and put it towards the spectators. You guys can now see what we observe as the magician, right? That's his gimmick. That's his story. But David Blaine's stage show, he literally just went out there and did tricks. That was it. And that's what I do. I don't follow a storyline. I don't follow a gimmick. I'm Chris, and I'm going to show you magic and have you enjoy your night. That's my show. That's my gimmick. Come out and have a good time. Be happy. Forget about your problems and politics and all of this bullshit, you know? Come out and have a good time with your friends and your family. Watch me do magic. You know, come be a part of the show. That's the gimmick, you know? So I don't follow a specific story. I don't feel like everything needs a story. I don't feel like everything needs to have, you know, like, oh, well, I was at a magic shop one day, and I saw this thing, and then I bought it, and then I performed it all over the world. No, it doesn't need to work like that. You know? But that's just me. Some people swear on scripting and stories. That's another thing. I do not believe in script. I don't believe in verbatim shows. I feel like if you're going to have a more personable experience, you should be able to shoot from the hip and you should be able to interact with your crowd. Because people, believe it or not, and I mean, you know, David Copperfield's show, Mac King's show, Penn and Teller's show, hell, probably even Chris Angel's show is probably verbatim to a script. And people can tell when you're following a script. Trust me when I say that. People can tell when you are following a script. It's not hard to figure out. All right? When you shoot, when you just talk off the top. I mean, yeah, I've got bullet points that I've got to follow just so I can kind of like stay within the boundaries of how the trick is supposed to work and, you know, what it's supposed to do. But I'll add some things in there. I'll add an ad-lib joke in there, you know. I don't feel like the show's got to be completely scripted, you know. And I think that's important because, one, it helps you think on your feet, and two, it opens up a world of possibilities. Is that a blade? That's a blade. Okay, don't play with that. It opens up a world of possibilities. Because think about it. What happens if somebody's sitting in the front row heckling you or making jokes? Should I just go along with the script, or should I, you know, be able to stop the show and say, hey, asshole, you know, shut the fuck up. Bro, do you talk like that to your fucking mom? You know, stuff like, especially because I have people who are in the audience who try to give away the secret. I love when people say, dude, I've seen this trick before. Because you know what I do? Fair warning, if you ever come and see my show and I take out a deck of cards and I hear you say, I've seen this before, I will stop my show, walk up to you, hand you the deck of cards, walk you onto the stage, tell you to do the trick I'm going to do, and then sit next to your girlfriend. I am going to do that. I've done it before. I will do it again. Do not do that. All right? That is not in my script. That is not part of my show. I will fucking embarrass you if you're going to sit there and try to make me look like a fucking fool in front of people who paid to see me. Okay? And I'm going to get into this in a second. I know I'm going to be jumping over the half-hour mark, but now that I'm on a tangent about this, I actually want to get into this, okay? If you are a heckler at a magic show, fuck you. If you are one of those people who walk into a magic show with the sole intention on trying to call them out and it ruins it for others, go fuck yourself with a cactus, okay? You are absolutely the worst type of human being that'll ever fucking exist to the public when you do that, okay? I want you to think of it this way. Maybe you're having a bad day. I understand that. Maybe, like, first off, if you're having a bad day, what the fuck is going to make you want to come to a magic show? Maybe to, like, get off of the bad vibes and everything. I can understand that. But if you don't like a trick, if you figure it out, keep it to your fucking self, okay? People, that would be the equivalent of if I went to go see Star Wars and I was sitting in the audience going, yo, he's gonna kill Han Solo. Bro, as soon as Han Solo steps onto that fucking ledge, he's got a lightsaber through his heart. Dude, I know how you fucking did that. Dude, that's CGI. You see that? That was CGI. That's fucking... I know how you did that. And people eventually are going to turn around and be like, yo, shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear that shit. That is exactly how people feel when you're a heckler at a magic show or even a comedy show. Granted, I can't think on my feet like comedians can. God, I wish I could. I would have such an R-rated show if I can think on my feet as quickly as some of my friends can. But unfortunately, I also have to take into consideration that I have kids in the audience, and there's certain things that I would like to say that I can't say. I wish I had the tenacity and the overall... I mean, I've got the balls, but I don't have the wit to say, to have immediate comebacks, without being completely insulting or, just degrading to somebody. Like, because I'd want it to be funny, but at the same time, I don't want to be like... I don't want to say something and have everybody turn on me just like, dude, that was a fucking asshole thing to say. You know what I mean? But let me explain the way I look at a heckler, okay? You buy a ticket, pay money to leave your house to come to sit in a theater to watch my show, along with 14 other people. Because let's face it, I don't have big audiences. All right, but you sit there, and as soon as I start doing a trick that you figure out, and for some reason, I don't understand why people are like this. If you figure out a magic trick, keep it to yourself. Don't ruin it for everyone else. I don't know why people feel the need to sit there and expose a magician in front of other people who eventually are going to turn around and tell that person exposing everything to shut up because he's being an asshole. Because maybe they didn't know how it was done, and now you ruined it for them. All right? If you're that kind of person who goes in there and purposely, makes it your goal to ruin a magic show because you don't believe everything that's going on, go fuck yourself, dude. Nobody wants you there. Nobody likes you. Your self-esteem needs to improve. Your fucking self-pity and self-morals really need to change. Nobody wants you in the audience. And the only way people would like to see you in the audience is if the magician makes an absolute fucking fool out of you to the point where you have no choice but to take it on the fucking chin and go and sit down or leave the theater. I hate to be that guy to say that, but I'm that guy to say that. The only reason why people want to see hecklers at a magic show is to watch them get completely and totally humiliated in front of the rest of the crowd. That is why people kind of wish that there's a heckler, because they want to give that magician the benefit of the doubt to shut him up. I know, because I try to do it. There's a reason why sucker tricks exist. I've got plenty of tricks. Hold on. See? There I am. Talking so much, my voice is getting itchy. There's a reason why sucker tricks exist, and I have plenty of them in my repertoire. If I need them, that I could use to completely fuck somebody's day up. Or I do what I mentioned before. I will walk to your seat. I will see who you're with. I will pull you up on the stage. I will give you the deck of cards, or I will give you something, and I will tell you to do the trick, and I will go and sit next to the people that you came with and completely fucking humiliate you. Why? Because you're an asshole who should have never shown up in the first place. I'm sorry, I gotta be that guy. We don't like that. It's disrespectful. It's absolutely the most horrible thing you can do. And now, I want you to think of it from the magician's standpoint, who's maybe not as confident, okay? Maybe we're finally getting over our fear of crowds. Maybe this is our first big break. Maybe this is something that we've worked so hard on. Maybe this is something that we've put all of our time and energy and money into, and we're so confident. and you're so proud of what you're doing, and then you've got that one guy who's sitting there ruining it for you, and then you feel like shit and don't even want to do the rest of the show. And then because your self-confidence is down, you don't want to put the effort into the show, and the rest of the show looks like shit. Because that one guy who maybe you're probably taking all of his words to heart because maybe you've heard all of this. Maybe you were bullied for doing magic when you were younger. Guys, there's a reason for everything. Maybe that heckler is like making it so that way that magician walks off the stage and says, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. My passion is gone. And then what? What if it's his last hope? What if it's the last thing he's got that makes him happy? But because he's so paranoid that people have to like his show because nobody else likes anything else about him, that he's like, well, that guy, maybe what if everybody else thought that way and that guy's the only one to speak up about it, If you're a heckler, go fuck yourself. Let me tell you, I cannot tell you how many fucking magic shows I have sat in, and I know how every single goddamn trick works. Fuck, I almost got the fly. God damn it. I can't tell you how many magic shows I have been in, like the audience, and I know how every single trick works. And I have not said a thing. Alright? Out of respect for the performer. I was an asshole one time at a magic show because I thought that the guy's show was just so inappropriate for kids. I had to say something. I had to be the guy to say something. Okay? And I eventually called him out. I said, well, what are you going to do here? You going to kill the kid? Fucking... And eventually I felt bad and I apologized to the guy afterwards, but I also explained, I'm like, dude, your show is not suitable for kids. Do not say that this is a kid show. It's not, alright? Otherwise, I figured out every fucking trick in Penn and Teller's show by the second time I saw it. I saw it 16 times on Broadway. To the point where, I think it was the 9th or 10th show that I went to, their fishbowl routine, where the Miser's Dream that Teller does, which to me is one of the most beautiful pieces of magic I've ever seen in my life. The Miser's Dream trick, I caught the gimmick because the gimmick was moved up about a foot too close to where I was. And I saw it. And I told Teller after the show, because believe it or not, Teller will talk to you after the show. And I told Teller, I said, Mr. Teller, with all due respect, I was sitting up in the balcony. I noticed that your fishbowl was not necessarily placed on the X's, and I caught the gimmick. And he told me, he goes, well, thank you so much for telling me. I didn't know. And, of course, if you're sitting up in the back of the theater, you could see more. Like, I saw one of their props open up. I saw one of their boxes open up. And I told them. I said, hey, in the back, in the mezzanine area, up in the very back of the theater, I could see so-and-so. But I wasn't going to sit there and say, I gotcha, I saw the fucking thing open up. No, because I'm not a fucking moron. All right? I hate hecklers. By the way, Teller, they did end up fixing that mistake. The next time I saw them, the prop was moved back. So there was that. And I honestly don't think anyone else is going to tell them. But because I have a respect for performers and I have a respect for my art, I did. And I want it to work and I want it to be good for everybody. And in order for it to be good for everybody, you have to fucking sit there and bite your tongue and say, you know what, I know how this is done, but nobody else does. So, just remember, people pay a ticket. People pay admission. Their hard-earned money to come and see that show, and you're going to sit there and ruin it for them? Hope you get jumped in the parking lot, motherfucker. I'm not apologizing for that. I'm not sorry for saying that, by the way. If you're a fucking guy who's going to go to a show and ruin it for everybody else, I hope somebody beats the shit out of you at your car. I'm not saying sorry for that. Fucking sue me. Come to the gallery. Fucking come to the Ansonia Gallery on Thursday afternoons at 4 o'clock and come punch me in the face. I'm not going to apologize for that. If you go to a show and try to ruin it for other people who paid to be there, I hope you get hit by a fucking truck. Go fuck yourself. There's no reason, first off, there's no reason for you to be there. And second off, there's no reason for you to ruin it for other people. Because you're having a bad day or you want to be that guy who wants to show off. I hope somebody throws a brick out of a fucking skyscraper and it splits your goddamn skull open. Okay? You're an asshole, go fuck yourself. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all for saying that. Fuck you. And hell, I hope it's the fucking people running the show that beat the shit out of you. There's no reason. Especially with everything going on in the world today. There's so much hatred and bullshit and fucking uneasiness. And there's people are at each other's throats. People are trying to use shows and entertainment as a getaway. You're going to sit there and ruin it for them? I hope you blow a rod through your fucking block. As soon as you pull your car out of the goddamn... I hope you buy a brand new fucking Ferrari and your motor explodes. Okay? Actually, no. I hope you don't have a Ferrari. I hope you can't afford a Ferrari. You know why? Because you're probably one of those guys who is probably taking away the confidence from somebody who maybe wants to use what they're doing to be able to afford a Ferrari one day, and you're taking away their hopes and dreams because they don't think they're good enough anymore. Like I was saying before. So fuck you. If you're a heckler, stay inside. Don't watch shit virtually where we can't hear you. Or even better, don't fucking watch. My rant, I'm sorry for going off. I'm sorry. My rant is over. Guys, my show is next month, September 12th at the Bijou Theater, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Tickets are on sale, www.bijoutheaterct.com, BIJOUTHEATRE.com. Scroll down when you get to the page, go to the events, scroll down, you'll see my ugly face, click on that, brings you right to the ticket site where you can get your tickets. $10 for kids 12 and under, $20 for adults. First responders, your money is no good there. It's the day after 9/11 and you guys already had a shitty fucking year last year. I am not accepting your money. The show starts at 3 o'clock. The doors open at 2. It is a Sunday afternoon. There is no excuse why you can't show up. I can also see will call. I hope you know that. I know who's buying tickets. I know who's telling me they're buying tickets and not. And I'm definitely using that because a friend said that. But she's not wrong. But I realized, like, shit, yeah, I can see who buys tickets to my show. Gary will give me all of that information. So, but guys, I'm going to get going. I hope everybody has a good rest of the week. I hope everybody had a good week. I hope everybody comes to see me on September 12th. And please, continue to be nice, continue to be happy, continue to be kind to other people. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's just something that's like jumping into my head right now. But the world needs it. And fuck you if you're a heckler. So, I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for